Okay, well, I was cleaning this rifle for a friend, and I thought that maybe some of you out there might want a little bit of information about it. Maybe you can clean your own rifles up a little bit better too. So it is an SKS, it's the paratrooper model. It is not the model that accepts the AK-47 magazines. It's just the standard paratrooper. It's Chinese, Norinco. Real nice rifle. My friend actually left it out in a barn, and that was a big no-no for these because they will get rusty. So I had to clean her up a little bit. So basic functions of the rifle. First and foremost, you have your cleaning kit here in the back. This thing will eat your finger every single time. It is awful. I suggest using a piece of metal, like a screw or something or a nail or something, and push that back in, because when that pops up, your finger will go there. It hurts like the son of a gun. But this is the takedown pin right there. There's the safety. That is off of safety. That's on safety. I did clear this rifle before doing the video, but just for everybody's general happiness, there we go. There's nothing in the chamber. I released the magazine here with the magazine release. I'll let the action slide forward. This is the fixed magazine. There are removable magazines. I tend to like the fixed ones better. Say what you want to say about it, but a fixed magazine with stripper clips is hard to beat. You put the stripper clip right there, and you just grab the rounds and slide them down in. 10 rounds, full and fed, good to go. There are 20-round Russian-made fixed magazines that I've heard are amazing, but I have not been able to get a chance to have one in my hands. Regular type sight system here. It's pretty basic, pretty normal. Not a whole lot of technicalities to it. You raise that up when you get farther away. These numbers do not, from my understanding at least, maybe I'm wrong, don't actually correspond with hundreds of yards or anything like that. It's from what I understand and what I gather online, it's actually some Russian measurements, which I am not familiar with. So, continuing with the weapon, a spike style bayonet on these. Bayonets, of course, will differ. To release the bayonet, you simply just bring that down, and it'll come up. You slam it to get it to hook onto the barrel. Same thing for taking it off. Cleaning rod right there. These sometimes can be a nightmare to get out. This is the since this is the paratrooper model, this portion here from the wood to the tip of the barrel is a lot shorter, for obvious reasons, but overall a fairly standard, just shrunk down version, kind of like with the Mosin Nagant 9130 versus the M44 or the M38 or whatever. Anyhow, so to take this apart, you're going to need a couple things. One, there's a little pin hidden behind the trigger guard right here. Let's see if I can get a nice clear shot of that. You see that sticking up there? What you're going to want to do, lay the rifle on its back and take something. I'm just using a pair of scissors. You can use I think it was designed actually to be taken down with a bullet, or a cartridge. But you pop that pin in, that'll release this. You can take this trigger group out. These are fairly difficult at times to work with. Some of these pins just do not want to come out. Some of them are they tend to bend. They just get stuck. I busted, actually. I have another SKS, a regular full Chinese one. I busted the bar off that goes from down there all the way over and pushes the sear forward to release the hammer, and I cannot repair it. I ended up ordering just another trigger group, and I can't find that, that bar in there, and I can't fix the bar that's in there because I can't. I might have to go to a machine shop and get one custom built for me because there's just no way I'm getting it done with what I have. But this will, that right there, it's kind of like an internal safety. It lets it be able to, release when you need to. So you guys got a pretty good view of what the trigger group is all about. It's pretty basic. Just going to put that back on safety. Set that off to the side here. Now to the rifle itself, what you're going to want to do is take this, lift that up, and then they don't make them all that easy, but it's fine. Take the bolt back and then pry that out of there. And that little piece here will connect to a piece down in there, which I can show you when the stock's actually off it. You can kind of see it. When it comes to the removable magazines, to put a removable magazine in this rifle, all you have to do is remove this, but then insert the trigger group back on. Sorry, it popped out there. Being a bit picky, there it is. And then snap that back together with just a little bit of pressure, and that'll leave that well open. And you just pop your magazine in when the bolt is locked back. It's kind of a tricky maneuver to do. You either have to hold the bolt back and then insert your magazine like that, or you can push the bolt back and take your finger and push on this little pin here. I don't know if you can see that all that well, if I can get to focus. Push that forward, and that'll lock the bolt back for you too. That's exactly what this little piece of metal here connects on, and often what I find being a major part of the reliability issue of aftermarket magazines. But then again, some of them work really well, some of them don't. So I release the bolt, put that back forward, leave the safety on, take my little pair of scissors here, just push on that. I have used the actual bullets before, but one of them, I pushed the bullet back into the casing, and it's just, I just don't like doing it. I'd prefer to use something a little bit longer, and I've had one come off that once, and I smushed my finger, and I'm a whiner. So I like to move that up a little bit. I'm going to take the stock off, but the stock will come off. It's not always all that gentle. Just push on this here. It's really tight. The stock will come off like the rest of the receiver pretty easily from that point, but there it goes. So that's off. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I'm just going to put this back down, and I'll take the sling off here. We're just going to leave that aside. So now we're down to the brass tacks, as you'd say, on this gun here. Receiver, in real nice condition. I wish this is what happens when you get some light rust on there. You end up with that little bit of marking. You can see I got most of it off, but I'm trying to keep the gun as original as possible without redoing a whole lot on it. So now to take this apart, and you don't have to take the stock off to clean this and the internals here. You don't have to, but I'm just doing this so you can see everything. Take this little takedown pin here, pop it out of the hole, bring it back over. Let's see, it's right. You'll feel it. There it is. Bring it back to there, and pop it, and then you'll feel the back cover of the receiver come off. You slide that off, and then you can pull the spring off of it, and then bring the rest of the action back. Usually when I take this off, I angle it up that way it don't separate. I let it drop into my hand like so. And this is actually two pieces. Comes apart just like that. Um, this piece right here, get this to focus. I don't know, my camera's being fussy today. That is your ejector, and this is your firing pin right there. You can take this assembly apart by punching this pin, which is the end of this, out. When you do that, be careful because this ejector is on a spring, so you don't want to lose anything. So they're often hard to come by for parts, just like I mentioned earlier. And once that piece is out, you can then get your firing pin out. Your firing pin right there, real simple. People like AK-47s, or tend to like AK-47s more than the SKS, but I'd argue with that. I think that they're much more accurate. Reliability, I don't think there's much of a difference between an AK and an SKS. I'll probably get squawked at for saying that, but it's a really solid weapon. I've owned them I've owned more than one, quite a few, for years, and it's not a fluke. They're good guns. The gas system can be a bit of a bear to get open, but just like everything else on this rifle, it is what it is. So I'm going to get to that now. So I should just use a screwdriver or something, but I'm going to take this little pair of scissors here, push that up out of that recession. I'm going to bring this up to the point where it is flat with the it's perpendicular with the barrel, and that'll allow the gas block itself to come forward, to come out. Just about everything is stiff on this rifle. This one, yeah, it had some problems. But piston's going to be in here. Just push it out. Get your piston. And how the mechanism works on this rifle is when you fire around, gas escapes through here, pushes this piston forward, which hits a piece in here that's on a spring and pops it forward just enough to slap that the action back, and you can see the little bit of wear right there. It's not really a dent, but kind of a worn spot right there where it actually does that. It'll hit right there, pop it back. The spring inside pops back forward. Good old Russian technology. The spring inside of here with the pin can also be removed fairly easily. I would be careful when doing this, but once you got it past, it'll just pop right out. And there's that. So that's actually what this piece comes in contact with, and this back end here pushes the mechanism backwards. Pretty ingenious. I mean, for its day and its age, it was top of the line. It's a bit difficult to get back in there. There we go. This gas block, you can remove more pieces from it. Like a lot of people like to put the aftermarket stocks on it. I prefer it to be how it was when it came from the factory. I think they did it right in the first place, but talking to Oberius. You punch this pin right here, and this little clip will come off. Or not clip, whatever it is. And then you can take this handguard off and swap in your high speed, low drag, Tapco, whatever the hell it is, plastic Kydex stock thing on there, and you can be more operator, I guess. But for me, I'm gonna keep it how it is and respect it. It's a beautiful thing. There's a couple ports on both sides. When this piston's gone forward all the way, at least my understanding is. I'm probably completely wrong. Yeah, I'm completely wrong. Well, I was thinking that that would help vent the gas, but it probably has something to do with pressure. They're smarter than I am, so I'll let it be. So this one actually has the piece on here. This lug is actually, I think it's permanent. I don't know if I'm even going to try and get that off, but leave it that way. You can see the cleaning rod still in there. This thing is just does not want to move. I'm not even going to bother. Beautiful sights. The only thing with this particular rifle, and you can probably tell just by looking at it, you can see it's way off center. And to fix that, I'm going to need to take and put it on a vise. They make ones for it. So a lot of the ones that they make are pretty cheap and crappy, and they don't work very well. But you just basically push on this while the whole thing's locked, because you don't want to bend it, and then that'll center your post. But with this rifle, I mean, I've shot it a few times how it is. I don't really like the front sight being like that. I have to line it up with the very right side of my target, and then I can hit in the center. It's kind of goofy, but hey, I'll get back on track here in a little bit. So, not on this video at least. Put that on there. Give it a couple little love taps. I'm going to take and bring that up to where it's just vertical. If you bring it past the point where this pin exits this recession, it will shoot that other part out because it's under spring tension. It's under a spring, so careful of that. You'll lose stuff. So I hate to force this, but may have to. There it goes. Pop it back in. That upper piece here goes into the recession, and that gas block's been back on. Reason I take the gas block apart is if you're getting a lot of junk comes in here from the smoke, or from the, what do they call it, the propellant burning, and it tends to gum up this channel here. And if you're shooting corrosive ammo, which I don't, you definitely want to take that apart and get that clean every time you use the rifle. So otherwise, this whole piston housing in here will just get nasty on you, and it's not a good deal. But yeah, I usually take the piston out and give it a good clean and give it some love. I could even clean the inside here. When I got this rifle, after I started taking it apart, I realized that the person who had it before me, I'm just cleaning it for someone, but there was enough water damage or enough rust in there that it actually would have froze the piston, and I don't know what the outcome of that would have been, but I can't imagine it'd be good for the gun or possibly even the user. But so if you're gonna go ahead and give your rifle a full cleaning, this would be a great time to do it. They typically come with chrome line barrels. I think that some of the Romanian ones, is it Romanian? Some of the oddball ones did not have chrome lining on the barrel. I think all the Yugoslavian ones and Chinese and Russian, all the three primary ones actually do have a chrome line barrel, and this one does too. So that's always a good thing. As far as oil goes, I've never really had too much of a problem with running them slightly dry to slightly wet. I've had them a whole bunch of oil just basically sopping and still fired fine. I've ran them till they were basically bone dry just to see if I could get them to have problems. And the only time I ever had a feeding problem with any SKS is whenever I tried to put one of those 30-round magazines on or whatever. And I know I dogged Tapco earlier on it, but they do make a decent 20-round mag that I've had no problems with. But I stick with the 10-rounder. It's fine for me. I'm not out hunting zombies or whatever it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you that again and tell you while I'm doing it. I take the bolt, pop that piece on it, put the whole thing upside down, otherwise it'll fall apart and be a pain in the ass. Just take and slide it on, turn the weapon back over. Small side first. Goes in there. You can take the spring apart. I should show you that real quick. This little notch right there. You just depress the spring. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but and this one's perfectly clean. Otherwise, I'd do it. But basically, you just pop that little disc out once the tension's off the spring and off of that pin, and you can just take the whole thing apart. It's 4 pieces and clean it all up. It does get a little bit gunky, but it's alright. These guns are made for the battlefield. They'll definitely do well at your local range with a little bit of dirt in them. So pop that back on, a little bit of tension. Be able to feel this. There we go. Clicks in, back on. And I like to put the bayonet up for one, so I don't scratch the wood as I'm putting it in, and two, it just makes it a little bit easier. And oddly enough, I always thought that this screwed into something, but it doesn't on this model. Maybe it does on other ones, but it does not look like it does. So I go ahead and put that wood stock on here. This one's really tight. I have a nice Chinese one that's my regular shooter, and it's just a regular Chinese, not the paratrooper, and it's not nearly as tight. Hung up on something here. What am I doing here? Everything looks to be in good order. No, it's just I don't like to force things if I don't have to. So then you make sure this notch here lines up on that piece, and then you have to open up your bolt to pop the snag all the way in. This is where learning how to lock your bolt open manually is good. It's right on that little pin down here. Just bring the bolt back, push that pin down, and that'll hold the bolt back, or the action, whatever you want to call it. Flip that up on the front there, push it down here on the back, and you'll feel it. You'll know when it's there, and it's there. Hey, pop front end first. Kind of have to watch this because it fits in a little bit funky. This piece has to go in the notch in there, and if you put it in like I first did, it tends to hit right before that. So you kind of have to put it in like that, real nice and almost like you're going in diagonally rather than a hinge type movement. Push that back in. You'll hear it click. Pop that down. Closed. Bayonet. Take and put the strap back on her. I love these rifles. These are just great. And functionality. They work almost every single. I mean, with leaving them stock, they work great. Changing things out, that's the only time I've ever had problems. But then again, your rifle is yours. Do with it as you will. I can guarantee you that my rifle, just set up like this, is going to be a lot more effective than most. I'll take the cleaning kit out of here while I'm at it. And here's what it comes with. I've seen them vary. Some of them don't have all the pieces. Some of them have missing pieces or whatever. But this is pretty much what you're going to come with. I think this is broken shell extractor or something like that, and there's something to put your swatches on. There's something else, and there's a brush. I don't really care what this stuff's for. I just use my regular cleaning supplies. I've cleaned enough of them that it's not really all that necessary, but it's great to have in a pinch. Just pop that and close it. Doesn't really stay. My bad. So it's all on there. And putting it back in, it'll bite you just as hard as it'll bite you coming out. So I always just take something and put it in the back, wait for it to click. That's good to go. Never had to take the butt plate off one of these before, but you can. There are screws for it. But there's my basic field strip, and without actually sitting there and taking the time to clean it, just kind of show you how to get it done. When you're oiling these, I like to make sure that there's oil on all metal-to-metal contact surfaces. This one's I rubbed a lot of oil off with my hand, so it's gonna need a little bit of touch-up, but overall, nice shape. So, if you have any questions or further details that you'd like to know, feel free to ask, or pester or heckle me, or whatever you want to do. And stay safe out there.